The C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Mel, big news in Panther Nation today. Kelvin Benjamin is traded to the Panthers North.
You know, when I heard the news, I had to think to myself, is today Halloween or is it April Fool's Day? Because I didn't want to go all in and get, totally look like a fool on the show. But, man, it was unbelievable. I did not see this coming at all.
So what are your thoughts on catcalls?
You shouldn't do that. I got to stop playing with the sound effects. They just keep rolling in. But it was crazy. It was a Halloween surprise, should we say. Today, guys, the Panthers traded Kelvin Benjamin for a 3rd round and a 7th round. I have not fully confirmed that, but if that was the exact data that we got or the return we got. But that's what the initial report that I saw was. Been kind of trick-or-treating with my family, doing some things there, and trying to follow this as best as possible in the process. So we shipped Kelvin Benjamin out, and of course, Panther Nation loses its mind. So right away, in fact, Mel, you were upset about this, were you not?
I was, and typically I'm the guy that gives the organization the benefit of the doubt. Always look at the positive side, and as I've settled down a little bit, I've started to think about some of the positives on this, but I still don't like the deal. Okay. Midstream, you got some momentum going. No, I didn't like it. I mean, to me, this is not a move that a team that has their eye on the Super Bowl ring does for this year, because we did nothing to upgrade the talent and help the team this year. Much like back in 2015, the move that we made was to bring in Jared Allen, help that pass rush. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They brought in Jay Ajayi, right? I mean, they're adding to their roster. The Panthers took away from their roster.
Joe Riolano's here, I believe. Joe, how's it going, my man?
It's going well. Got behind in the trick-or-treating, and I am coming in hot, guys. My apologies, but I am happy to be here. Not so sure on this Kelvin Benjamin deal. We're definitely not – talent-wise, I don't think we're better, talent-wise. That doesn't mean we're not going to be a better team, though.
I agree.
Thinking about the diversity that they're talking about, being able to be more diversified on the field, there is a point to that. You will be able to get more speed out there, and we brought guys like Shepard over to be more than just a special teamer. He was supposed to contribute on this offense, so give him a chance.
Right. All right, so I was hoping Mel was going to be more fired up, because Mel was angry earlier when we were talking through text as this was going on, as he thought Joey was trying to trick or treat him and play a trick on him. And I thought I was going to be the only one that's going to come in here and be like, I'm okay with this 100%. Now, I think, but there's a couple of people ahead of me in the chat room. This is addition by subtraction, folks, and I know it hurts because, look, KB's a baller. That's the thing, is he's not that great, but he's a player. He makes plays. He goes out there, and he kind of has a little it factor to him that maybe we haven't seen yet with Devin Funchess, and that we just lack in that receiving core generally. So I know that hurts when you lose that. But we've talked about this. I've been on this. I said this last week too, is that when you have Funchess and Benjamin out there, you got a real duplication of talent going on. And the guys, so what you see is, really, Devin Funchess should be running the routes that Benjamin runs. And you can't just run. They can't run parallel to each other the whole game. So you got to make them do different things. And I think what this does is that, and Marty Hurney came out this and said this. Bill Voth tweeted that he saw Marty Hurney in the hallway, and he said that he thinks this gives the team ability to give more speed out there. And I agree, because here's the thing. The only way this team can get faster with Kelvin Benjamin and Funchess is there's two things they can do on that team. They can either take one of them off the field, right, and rotate them entirely, or you bring in a third and fourth receiver. But what we see is that hurts our pass block game so much that it makes it difficult for us to take advantage of things. So really what you find is this team kind of in a conundrum where they're kind of their best two receivers are Benjamin and Funchess, but they do the same things. So now what you can do is you can run two receiver sets and put somebody out there that's faster. You can put a Russell Shepard who is a tad faster. You can put a Curtis Samuel out there who's a tad faster, and then you can move Devin Funchess over to the Kelvin Benjamin spot.
Yeah, brush your teeth, get your thing.
Joey's talking to his family. Sorry. Mute your mic, Joe. All right, so Mel, does that make sense? And I'm on the podcast by myself now. Mel Mayock, can you hear me?
I'm here.
I can't hear Mel, so Mel's got a dip. All right, come back, Mel. Man, Hangouts has really been giving us a Halloween trick or treat tonight.
Joey, been more tricking than treating.
Joey, how do you feel about that assessment of what we can do? Is that, like you said, that it doesn't, I don't think we get better as a talent. Obviously, we don't get better as a talent. And right now, I think Kelvin Benjamin is better than Devin Funchess.
I would, well, Benjamin's, Funchess is having a better year, wouldn't you say? Or has had a better year.
No, I think he's had one better game.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, I can hear you now. You're back.
I'm of the opinion that Funchess will be able to fill into the role that KB had, and I think he'll be able to do it maybe better.
I mean, yeah, I'm not really feeling that there's going to be a tremendous drop off.
Here's my problem, guys. Here's my problem, guys. We talk about, well, this allows us to get more speed on the field. It allows us to not have duplication. But what was stopping us before? I mean, if our problem was we're better off having speed out there, then take one of KB and Funchess off, put in Shepard, show us that the speed is the difference. I don't understand why you wait while you're playing both your guys to where, I mean, now taking one of them away, you're going to be better. I mean, is Ron Rivera
I think you saw that. Didn't you see some of that against Tampa Bay? I thought I saw more
but who made the
Benjamin and play? Samuel. I thought I saw more Funchess and, you know what I'm saying, and somebody else. I thought there was a mixture of different receivers. Kelvin Benjamin did catch the touchdown. I agree. But if you know, at the same time, that could have been – what I'm just saying is this: if he's not out there on the field, then he can't catch the touchdown,
and we maybe lose.
Right. I do think too is that there is another element to this: is that Kelvin Benjamin is going to cost $8 million next year and be looking to subscribe to have a big contract, be in a contract year. And I just don't think he's a guy that you're going to be able to give big money to. He comes in to camp for the second time in his career, massively overweight. I think too is that I think Kelvin Benjamin's what I like about Kelvin Benjamin is that he's kind of a player, a baller, but he's not. I think his potential has a ceiling on it of what he can become. And I think what we're kind of seeing is that he's really not progressing into the next level route runner, impact player.
He doesn't have the wiggle to have the great route tree, right? I mean, he's a great slant and go, box out type of a receiver.
But he's not great at those things. He hasn't been fantastic.
You're right. He's underachieving. So on the one hand, I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. I was actually like, you know what? It's kind of depressing to think Kelvin Benjamin will be our number one best target receiver going forward. If he's going to be our fifth-year receiver and then we sign him, we got to pay him $10 million a year. That's kind of bad because he is not, an elite top-end wide receiver. You can do better there. He should be a number 2 or number 3 or a tight end, honestly. So on that regard, I'm happy this move made. But the part that I really hate, guys, is that it's the middle of the year. You're trying to jockey for position to get to the Super Bowl, and you're taking talent off your team midstream to do it. This is a move that should have been done in the offseason, whether this one coming up or the previous one. And you could say, well, we got something in return, but we got a third rounder. What happens if Kelvin Benjamin or Funchess goes out there and gets hurt this coming weekend?
Now that's you're right about that. What is this now on that point? What does this mean about how we feel about this season? Because we're 5-3.
5-3. We're right in the middle of it.
We're 5-3, and the Bills are 5-2. They're trying to make a run at a weak New England team this year.
Right.
Where their window is here to catch the Patriots sleeping for 1 year. And the Panthers, I don't know what this means about what we believe we can be.
Now, the only thing that could be the saving grace, and people may be tired of hearing this, but it is very true. People have been very frustrated with our offense since when? Ever since the Super Bowl, when Kelvin Benjamin came back. Is that a coincidence that those two worlds collided, or is our offense not as good? And it very well could be that our offense is not as good with him, even though he's a better player than the other receivers. But look, Cam does lock in on him. Cam is looking for him. And does that make Cam delay a little bit and get hit a little bit more, get a few more sacks, slow everything else down? Time will tell.
I think there's a financial element to this, though, too.
Definitely.
Is that while I know it feels like we're not getting better this year, is at least you got something for him. And instead of just cutting them next year. And,
that's true.
And then also it tells me, too, that maybe what we're loading up a little bit is to move around in the draft to get that offensive tackle that we need at some point. I think that's another thing. And then the last point that I do think going to what you're saying is that maybe there are some limitations of what Kelvin Benjamin can do out there. And what you say is Devin Funchess can do all of those things he can do ultimately.
He's more athletic. He is definitely more athletic.
Plus a couple of other things. And then you're going to get other guys more opportunities. And I think one last thing is Greg Olsen may return. I didn't think it was going to happen. You go in, you have foot surgery, whatever it was. But
it's looking like 2 more weeks. Looking like he's coming back after the bye. Yeah.
I think this, though, is imagine this offense. If you've got Snowshoes Olsen out there, Benjamin and Funchess, and that's what you're trotting out there. That's what we trotted out last year, and it was slow as dog. I mean, it was awful. And I think we got to get some things where we can get – but to your point also earlier is that why can't we try these things a different way with this personnel? Why does that mean we got to make these moves?
So is there a disagreement between Hurney and Rivera? I mean, is Hurney forcing the hand? I don't know, but I don't get how we're better this year by taking talent off. However, there is the argument. Is just what you said. You've got 2 big plows out there. You've got Funchess. You got Benjamin. People are crowding the box. That's pulling both safeties down in the box because they're not worried about these guys running past them. They're not, and that hurts our running game. So perhaps, what will be interesting to me is if you move Funchess over into KB's role and you move CMC into more of a wide receiver role, right? And if those are, and you got Samuels, McCaffrey, Funchess as your 3, and then Shepard, you got that type of a mix, and you're leaving Cap, you saw a little bit more of Cap last week, which is great and refreshing to see. You got Cap and you got Stu as your running backs. You're starting to spread that defense out a little bit. So maybe maybe by taking KB out of there, it's going to help the running game. The only thing that's going to answer this is a few games.
Yeah, I think too that it's difficult with KB and Funchess. Here's the thing: is can you really at some point when you got players that are good, even if they can't diversify your offense, it does seem like kind of weird to sit Kelvin Benjamin. You know, like, oh well, we're trying to do some different things with the offense, so go sit over there. He's a guy that if you got him on your team, you want him on the field.
But you tell him, you know, he had his, what they say in that game that he had a bursa sack pop under his knee. You know, I mean, so, you know, he's not 100%. You could have put it in the guise of we're going to let him heal up for a couple of weeks and then tried something else and see if it works. But you were up against the trade deadline. So, you know, Hurney, which another part of this argument, guys, is this a move that an interim GM makes, gets rid of talent and adds trade draft picks for the future?
Yeah, and one thing we haven't mentioned is that while we all like Kelvin Benjamin, and I think we've been rooting for him, we don't know what the internal relationship is entirely with the team. Cody Lashney says this in the YouTube chat. Let's not forget, if Kelvin Benjamin had made that block against the Chargers on that interception, Cam wouldn't have messed up his shoulder. You saw the lack of – a lot of people have been critical of Kelvin Benjamin looking
I was at that game. I was at that game. Folks were ready to hang Benjamin during that game because he was loafing. Now, they were also talking on FMZ today, Professor, about 2 weeks ago, Benjamin walked off the practice field just abruptly, and the Panthers guys did as he was going to get attention to his knee. But people were obviously stunned that he just walked off. So there may be some underlying tension that's really not – coming up to the very top.
I think, too, to your point about what the offense can be, one thing that where you're talking about moving, I think we can get McCaffrey and Samuel on the field together now without it being so obvious what everything is going on. And
right. That's a good point.
You know, I think that you can say that, hey, Samuel's going to be a receiver in this role. You've got to account for him downfield, and then you can do some movements and some things. But how do you put Samuel out there over Funchess? How do you put Funchess over Benjamin when they're all there together? It's kind of a difficult position to be in. And my final, one other question I have for you guys is, did we get enough? You trade Kelvin Benjamin, you get a third and a seventh. I think it was Spencer, Esoteric Cranium, I believe, on Twitter. He put, he's like the Panther memorabilia junkie. I think he was the one that posted this on Facebook, is that he would have liked to see a third and a fifth round conditional pick.
Yeah, but at that point, you're really kind of splitting hairs, right? I mean, fifth or a seventh conditional.
Seventh don't do nothing.
Seventh, well, anything. Yeah, I mean, tell Captain Munnerlin that. You're right. I mean, you're right.
That.
You're right.
We haven't had there isn't a seventh pick on this team except for Captain Munnerlin.
Right. And he made one of the plays of the game this past week. So let's don't underestimate what they can do. But you're right. I mean, that's a throw in, right? That was a thing to get it done. The biggest thing, I think the biggest thing driving it was, I think the Panthers looked at it and said, our offense can be better schematically without him. He is a guy who's battled being overweight, and he will into the future. That's not going to get easier for a guy as he gets older. Mm-hmm. So do we want to give somebody $10 million on a 5-year contract, knowing that's only going to get worse? He's got problems with his knees. And a third-round pick for, I mean, let's face it, he was a very end of the first round, and we were surprised when we took him. I mean, he was a second-round talent. That was the projection. So 4 years later on a bad knee with weight problems and $8 million on the contract for next year, I think it's probably about a fair deal. It's probably as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, I think it's kind of solid. I do think it would be nice to get something. Joey and I both immediately when we said, "Who did you get?" and we said, "Did we get Shady?"
I was like, the boys are drinking early. The boys are drinking early.
A girl can dream, can't she? Is that all right? Now to the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or anywhere you can catch an RSS feed. Check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com for the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective.
Great cash, homie.